In this video I have another CDC CD player. It came with a PD440 TIAC manual for some reason. But that's a different machine, though not a lot different by the look of it, but a bit later. Actually a remote control one. So that can probably go in the recycling. But this is the actual machine, CDC640 CD. These are a low-end machine. I even actually considered buying one of these in about 1989. Quite a bit cheaper than most of the others, but luckily I held off and got something better in the end. Actually made in Japan, though you wouldn't really know it. They're not the best quality. What's that? Chuo Denki or something. I forget what Denki means, but a lot of Japanese stuff has that name on it. And this one, I did quickly plug it in just to see what it did, which is nothing. It's even got a free CD in it. It does the usual, get the power on, does the usual, try to read, makes some funny noises, and then says no. Sounds like it's spinning but very slowly. Oh, can you believe it? It works now. So maybe it is just a bit of an adjustment or something. That's what I was thinking it would be, but yeah, I tried it a couple of times yesterday and it said no. But I will see if it actually plays much. It's struggling. Sounds like it's kind of got down to, I don't know if these, yeah, it hasn't really read it. Oh, at least it read the table of contents. That's more than it did last time. Pretty common for these things. Ooh, bit of music came through when I moved it. And now it's, yeah, now it's lost it and gone no. CD player says no. Which is about what these do most of the time. Can we get it to play? Play button might have just been a bit dicky. But this has actually got a remote control sensor, so they must have had a remote with these things. I don't remember actually ever seeing the remote for one, but oh, for a second it does something, then it spins up high speed as they often do. So, not surprisingly, we've got a read error with this thing. Often these you can just give them a bit of a tweak, maybe a bit of a clean. Pretty rare they get much dust in them though, because they're pretty well sealed up. But it was cheap, so I thought I might just grab it and have a quick play with it. Good way to demo what you can do with some of these older CD players just to get them running again. But these were never a particularly great unit. These were playing up in the 90s, not long after they were originally sold. I've looked inside quite a few of these over the years. I did try another disc in there briefly. I don't remember having a strap-on board like that, so that's something different. Is that the actual laser coming into there, or the bits going to it? So it looks like we've got a couple of adjustments. Yeah, I can't remember the model. There was a few different models of these things that they put out, and they kind of remain similar into the, probably like that TIAC PD440 would be a similar CD player more than likely. And we've got 99, I can't see a date. Oh, here's the dates. I think that's 88, this one. Oh, it's got two 88s, you've got 85, oh, that's 85, 6, 7, 8. You can barely tell the 6 from the 8, it's so small. So this one was made in 1988 on the July, by the look of it, 7th month, 24th day. I'm guessing. So 24th of July, 1988. Would have been around the time I looked, no, it was a year later actually. It was probably about a year before I looked at actually buying one. I remember going into, I forget what the hi-fi store was called in Hobart, in Liverpool Street there. Jeez, yeah, I can't remember what they're called. And they had these for, was it $139 or something like that, I think. Not sure it was this exact model, but CDC brand. But yeah, they were put out as TIACs as well. So let's have a look, see if it's actually dirty in there. I think you really got to remove the clamp to see the laser. Generally they're not dirty, but you never know, always worth a look. Got a spring on the back. It's pretty clean. There is a little layer of dust and everything. I wouldn't say it's perfectly clean. It's not as probably as shiny as it should be. Not likely to be an issue, but you never know. I think these are those Sanyo, I forget what type of laser. Yeah, it certainly shines up a bit better when you clean it. It's a SF88, is it, or SP88? Yeah, SF88, I think that says. Matches the year it was built, I guess. Yeah, not the greatest little lasers, those. Grease probably could do with renewing, but it's, yeah, dust on there. So this one is a bit dustier than they usually are. Mind you, this is getting very old now. That's the tray. Oh, that's right, you've got to release that bit is what connects the laser into it, which we shouldn't be doing at the moment. I just want to feel if it feels reasonable. Make sure there's no lumps of anything hard in the gears or anything. I think we've got to push that back and click it back in place. Bit of a weird mech the way they did that. Kind of unique. Don't know if anyone else had a little laser capture thing and then used it off the other gears, but that was part of what made these things a bit cheaper, with some innovation to use less parts in them, but unfortunately they also weren't the best quality. Quite a bit of it's probably down to those lasers. And it's speeding up. No. Normally give these platters a bit of a clean because I have had issues. And the magnet, these have actually got a proper magnet. These were good for pinching the magnets out of, so you can run CD players with no clamp in them. So I've still got one somewhere attached. Oh, there it is. Yeah, I think that was a TIAC one. Looks like the same TIAC or thingo. That's another one out of something with a small magnet. And if you're really crazy, you could break those little 57mm speakers apart and get the one, at least the ones that had the ring magnets in them, and save that. So that was quite a job usually. Best thing was, but before we had scrap CD players lying around, that was your only choice. So we have laser, F gain, T offset, T gain. Not sure what they are. Not sure if these actually have a laser power adjustment. I think there's one on the board somewhere. The layers, a trim pot. Normally I only touch those as a last resort. We can probably tweak this thing into working again. I think that CD's okay. Haley Westenra Pure. Never heard of her. Yeah, it's clicking more than it was, so that's not a good sign. What have I done to it? Certainly vibrates a bit there, but I don't think anything's... That magnet is not the best, at least compared to this bit. But is it just, you know, it's certainly quite eccentric. I'm guessing it's not the best centered on this piece. Do they unclip? I might just have a quick look at that, because any amount of wobble in these things is not good for them really. It just makes the laser work harder, which is probably fine when it's new. Yeah, just a little plastic clip-in piece. Looks pretty centered from below, but looks really out of whack there. Yeah, it's really wobbly. Yeah, it doesn't even sit on the putter straight really, although it's got a bit of play in it. I guess it's part of the problem. Shouldn't that centre... Yeah, it has a centering pin. I would have thought that should centre a bit better than that. Like I say, not the best build quality on earth, but that's just down, wasn't it? There. Yeah, it can slide sideways quite a bit, which I wouldn't have thought was the best idea, but I guess I want to make sure it sits in there. Yeah, not the greatest quality mechanism, that's for sure. Let's try centering it a bit. Does sound a bit noisy. Don't know that's much to do with our problem, but I must say it's certainly not in the best condition, I don't think. Possibly it's warped a bit over time. Like that, it's definitely rattling a bit. I think it's doing that regardless. Do anything there. Now, what do we got? T gain, F gain. Where's the focus offset? I wonder if they've moved that to this board. Would have been nice if they labelled it. Yeah, it's got connectors to stack this board in. Rather weird. So I'm guessing one of these is focus offset. What was the other one? Tracking balance or something? They're both set. That one's right in the middle. That one's slightly, I guess we call it 11:30 or something if it was a clock. Going with a reference in the middle of the top there. Nope. Well, that don't seem to do much at all. So that sounds a bit better. You can sort of tell by the sound they make. That's just probably coincidence. That's more than we had before. But it showed signs of doing that before. Yeah, we've got table of contents. At least if you can get it running, you've got some hope of adjust. It's just going flat out through the or round and round in circles, one or the other. We can't hear it because it's muting it. It's so bad. Now we've bumped it. It's upset it. Bit slow reading the table of contents, but it's back to no, so we've gone past the good zone there, I think. Very picky on this one. think these were pretty slow to read anyway at the best of times. And we've gone back to that jittering all over the place thing. Could try the tracking gain slightly. Nope. You can hear the audio clicking a little bit as it unmutes briefly. No, the tracking you shouldn't worry at this point. That display is still jittering away. I'm guessing the laser is not the best in this thing. Certainly a lot of vibration in the deck. Part of that could be due to our fault, but actually sounds like it's reading better there. Sometimes you just got to stop them and start them a few times to reset things like that. So not happy. Let's try another disc in it just out of interest, because I really don't know the condition of that one. Unlikely to be the issue, but you never know. And you've got to try multiple discs anyway to make sure they read everything. There's a lot of vibration in that mech. I think we're pretty much at peak of everything, and it's still playing really bad. Let's go and see it again. Oh, really slow there, like it's at the end of the disc, but it's at the beginning. There it goes, it worked it out in the end. Very unhappy. Oh, finally found a bit of likes. No, I think we're going to have to do laser power on this thing. It might help, it might not. That, and get our laser. Now, of course, it's going to do the tray at the same time, no doubt. But if we can get that laser forward, we can probably give it a slight tweak in the clockwise direction and see what happens. I guess we can push the tray now, can't we? You can unclip that thing. But yeah, a lot of the time they could really do with a new laser, unfortunately. So that's again set to around the middle. Can I get down there and do it without pulling everything apart? Hopefully that screwdriver's not big enough. So I'm just going down to the bottom of that laser where there's a little trim pot and trying to turn it, but I don't know if I'm going to have any luck. Sometimes you can get them. There we go. Let's just turn that a small amount. See if it makes any difference. That's clicked in. I think it's made it worse. I don't know. Yeah, no read. Whether that's just coincidence or not, who knows? Try it in the other direction. So it's about middle. Let's go a bit more that way. Really got to reset the mix so you don't do it any harm. Don't know what happens if you leave that both engaged. Oh, that red. So it must be an anti-clockwise one, this one. And we've still got the jitters. Let's trying now. Nearly. It's not getting to the next track. Keeps jumping back to that one. So just, oh, wrong button.
In 1965, Vietnam seemed like from what
Well, it certainly is alive and kicking. How long that'll last? Try reading the disc again. Maybe we should put a little bit more laser power in there, but that's a 20 track disc, so it's probably got tighter tracks than the Red Book standard. Does it give you a time on this thing? It's still reading it. It's 75 minutes, still a bit scratchy at the beginning there.
seemed like just another foreign war, but it wasn't. It was different.
Almost like it works better on the later parts of the disc, which is weird because that should be the bit that wobbles around more. Unless there's some sort of spin motor issue or something. Maybe it wobbles around mechanically more at faster speeds. Let's try a different disc in there, I guess. So it could be something weird like that. If it's a bit out of balance or something at the higher speed, it probably wobbles around more, like when it's spinning up here. Yeah, that's at least reading a little bit quicker, I think, than it was. Does not like that disc. So maybe that disc is dodgy, or maybe it wobbles more. Yeah, strangely seems better at the higher track numbers. Center that magnet a bit better, but let's try it from the beginning again. I don't think I centered it better, I think I made it worse. Although interestingly, it's now playing that bit. So do we have an issue mechanically? Quite possible. Certainly seems to wobble around more that one than it should. Let's just randomly get the magnet where it's going to go. It's even clicking a bit. playing up, doing that weird thing on the display. Now if I just eject it and randomly, the magnet will sort of end up randomly placed. On this disc it seems to play worse. That's got quite a bit of vibration, even a little bit of clicking there, like it's touching this clamp bit or something. And there, the display's gone silly again. Not even playing any audio because it's so bad, the data coming off it. Stop it. And I can actually see one side of the magnet just comes out past this plastic, so if we slide that bit that's past, and there's another bit there, try and center this thing a bit better. Not perfect, but better. And it's playing, so I think this one's definitely got a mechanical issue in the clamping. And I guess the best way to prove it is if it plays up on the faster spinning, then it's probably a bit eccentric or something. Whereas if the motor slows down and it plays better, then it means that the disc is wobbling, I guess, less, or there's less vibration or whatever, because it's at a lower speed. So that would explain why this machine, I don't think I've ever noticed that in one before. Normally they should play worse as they get further out and the disc is going up and down more, and possibly even the disc is a bit eccentric, so the laser has to work harder to track everything. I guess it's more the servos and stuff are working hard to keep the laser centered on the data. So that's quite an interesting one. But it's not very... returned alright. So it's maybe a little imperfect. Let's reset it and randomise the magnet a bit. And yeah, it likes to come up with one side well off. It's playing this time though. Oh, well it was. Now it's flicking again. So if I just stop that, get it to where this bit, I can see the light shining on the edge of it. And there's still a bit out. It's very hard to get it perfect, but not that we can rely on this plastic as being the most accurate thing to gauge anything. But I guess if it's the one point on it is quite accurate in a sense. I guess if it's not coming over, so that's back, so I haven't ejected it, I haven't reset it, just simply stopped it. Doesn't like that bit. Let's see if we can do the same with that reggae song as it was at the beginning. Certainly playing better than it was. That's just random, probably. So basically this machine's getting old, probably the laser's fairly worn out by the look of it, but then the slightest little mechanical issues can then add on to that, and that plastic bit looks well melted to me. It's sort of very eccentric, so I'm guessing this little plastic part of the clamp that clips through the magnet is probably not the best. Who knows, over time that magnet might have got a little bit more play where it sits in there. Maybe things are worn a little bit where the little pin sort of pushes into the platter where the disc sits. But this is the sort of stuff you got with these things. And like I said, these ones were probably on the edge a bit to start with. They were never the greatest player from new. Add to that another, 30 odd years of time and wear and dust. Now giving the thing a lube might help it a little bit. It's certainly not going to hurt, I wouldn't think. maybe turning up the laser power a little bit more, but these were not a CD player I would have sold back in the 90s sort of thing. As a general rule, I think I may have actually sold one once that was actually in really good condition and playing really well, just as a $50 special or something to get rid of it again because it was too good to throw away. But generally I wouldn't touch these things second hand. Sometimes people would give you this old stuff and you think, well, it's working well enough, we can get it going and flog it off, but they're never a good machine. And this one I'd call too much on the edge of playing up to be worth selling to someone or something. Let's just try another random CD. But it's a good demo. It's interesting to actually see one that you can pretty much manipulate by messing with the magnet in it. I mean, the old spin motor's probably not the best in it anymore either. That's probably adding its own vibration and stuff. Let's try a really scratched up one. This is one of my compilations. So that's going to be going on an 80-minute one, and it does not like that much. And that's the problem. Once these CD players get too much on the edge, they're not really reliable at playing things. So like I said, not good enough to use anymore, I don't think, this one. So with a little bit more of a service, you might get it playing a little bit better, but I think this one, the laser's pretty well on the edge of being dead. Maybe a little bit more laser power could help. I guess we could give that one last tweak, maybe just to take it a little bit further. So that was anti-clockwise we went on that one. Go a little bit more, maybe you could keep going with that, but I don't like adding too much to it. But you haven't got a lot to lose with these, but you probably wear it out all the quicker what's left of it. Sounding a bit rattly in the mech there somewhere, so it's probably not going to play the best. I guess another thing is this has probably been pivoting up and down so many times that it's got a little bit of play where that pin goes in there, so that could be part of it too. Like I say, these were not the greatest precision mechanism ever made for a CD player, that's for sure. Maybe if I put the screwdriver there and kind of, that might be a better way of centering it. It's not working the best, I don't think. Now, of course, now it's, well, it read it at least. Let's try it from the start, see if it plays it badly. It sure does. Barely plays it at all. This disc may have something about it that makes it even more picky and less centered than the other one, but it certainly seems to play worse. So we sort of resurrected this thing. It's pretty much what often happens. I think mechanically this bit's not the best. I'm wondering whether this CD's either in poorer condition. Here's a little bit, it does have some scratches right on the table of contents in that first stuff, so it's definitely more scratchy. It's quite a big patch here. Probably should have given this a clean. I guess if we clean it off, that's got some of the muck off it. Will it make any difference? It does have a few scratches, but a good CD player should still read this sort of thing. maybe, you know, once they get really bad, I've worn CDs out just from fine scratches and stuff. So much use over the years. Let's try and get that. Made it worse. This one's really picky. Now it doesn't want to play at all. It's rattling. No real noticeable difference from adjusting the laser there, possibly even made it worse, which is why I don't like touching them once they're sort of going. But yeah, a bit of a resurrection job really. I thought it'd be worth a quick look. Can't remember ever actually having it where you center the magnet better and that would get it going, but not surprising really. Anything that can add more vibration, like I say, that's what these spin motors, when they get bad, will cause vibration and skipping. And yeah, if anything to do with these discs not sitting in, the flatter the better, the more centered the better, because it's less work for the laser to track it. It's got to go up and down, it's got to go side to side as it moves across the tracks, and if those tracks are kind of making it go back and forwards a lot and up and down all at the same time, obviously you lose accuracy. Because yeah, if it's kind of eccentric, then it's got to go back and forwards as the track does one rotation. If it's up and down, then it's of course going up and down to try and keep focus. But yeah, they were never a good CD player, these. It's amazing any of them actually survived this long. I would have thought most have been thrown out by now, or thrown out before the year 2000 really, is when a lot of these would have got chucked out. I know I threw a few of them out that I ended up with somehow. And yeah, you couldn't always fix them for people. Sometimes when they were new, you could tweak them up a bit and they'd keep going. But the older they get and the more use they get, the worse those Sanyo lasers seem to get. It's possible with the amount of dust in this one that there's a bit of dust down inside that laser. I don't know if these ones can be lifted up. Possibly you can take the plastic cover off and try cleaning the actual prism down in there, as I've done with later machines. I've got a few DVD players. PlayStation 4s were common for it. You could actually bend a cotton bud and shove it under the lens, clean down inside the laser onto the prism or the little angle bit of glass, whatever they had in there, which is probably the top of the prism, and get the dust out of there, and that would get those going again. Could possibly be cleaned out. If it was a better machine, I might bother, but with this machine, not really worth the bother. It was more just a one, I saw it cheap and thought I'll just have a quick play with it. Be interesting to see if we can get the thing running. And we sort of have, but like I say, I wouldn't really use it. I certainly wouldn't sell it to someone, wouldn't even give it to someone. Since it's not the best condition, I guess you could get away with good quality, clean CDs. It might be fine. But it's the sort of thing that'll randomly skip and carry on, which is something you do not want when you listen to your music. So I think we'll call that one sort of resurrected. More a educational machine to look at than anything else. That's right, they've actually got a cover so you can access the board, but I don't think anything really went wrong with the electronics in these. Pretty reliable that way. They just got worse and worse at playing. And like I say, they were never the greatest at playing bad discs, even when they're fairly new. So not the greatest machine. Glad I didn't buy one, though I probably would have got my money's worth out of it back in the day, but they were still, yeah, fairly expensive machines. That was probably $300 and something. What am I thinking? I think I said $130 or something. That was probably 300, and I think they're more like $350 back then. I'm trying to remember. They certainly weren't cheap. You couldn't buy a CD player very cheap in the 80s, and the technology was not as good in these older machines. Usually they didn't last. Most of the 80s machines had all sorts of issues, very primitive sort of laser assemblies in them. The 90s, they more or less, sort of by the mid-90s, they pretty much perfected making a cheap CD player, and more reliable than a lot of the expensive ones used to be. There's probably some exceptions to that in the higher quality machines, but when they got down to like those Sony lasers and stuff, most of them were pretty good, and the lasers were cheap to replace. You could actually repair them. The main letdown with those was those spin motors. But anyway, that's all we'll do with that one for now, so thanks for watching.